The mountain. I stormed off into the pouring rain with a pistol in my jacket. I wasn't sure yet if it was for my former boss or myself. My plan was to go to a bar, get good and drunk, and find out. It was at that bar where I met Abigail, drinking alone. She was a handsome woman, older than me by at least a decade. Black hair streaked with white, skin sun-kissed and weathered, marked with the storied scars of a hard life. Eyes like ice rolled in ash. Her hands were steady as she pulled out another glass. And here I thought the storm was keeping everyone home. She had a voice like the whiskey she poured me, aged and complicated, smooth and sharp all at once. So, let's hear your story. I hadn't planned on talking, not about the day I was having, not about anything, but before long I was 3 glasses deep and telling a stranger about my divorce, my job, and how I'd been thrown away. For nothing. 15 years of hard work, of my life just gone, my pension stolen from me, and a retirement I can kiss goodbye. I managed to stop short of explaining why I was sitting there with a gun in my pocket. It was quiet then. Abigail looked right through me, like she could see the shape of the things unsaid. She took a long, slow drink and spoke up for the first time in several minutes. Gus, can I tell you a story? I nodded. About 20 years ago, I found a horse up in the mountains. Abigail leaned back, eyes far away. He'd been chained up by a creek and abandoned. Cruel thing to do. The horse had all the water it could handle, but nothing to eat. Found him nearly dead, skin and bone, too weak to even stand, just ragged breaths, and big brown eyes begging for mercy. She chuckled darkly to herself. I got up there to find a quiet place to hang myself. She gave me a look, eyes drifting briefly to my jacket. But I couldn't leave that poor beast to die like that, so no sir. So I hiked back down the mountain and walked to town. I bought some feed, bolt cutters, a shitty little sleeping bag, and rucked it all back up. A couple weeks I spent like that. Slept next to him, slowly nursed him back to health, made the trip to town and back every few days. I called him Andre, Abigail said softly, smile bittersweet. He was as gentle and sweet as he'd ever seen. She sighed, finished her glass, and poured another. Took about 2 months, but we did it. A couple steps at first, but before long I had him up walking around. I felt he could make the journey. It was time to leave. Now, the quickest route was the path I'd been taking, but that trail was too steep for a healthy horse, let alone one who just got his legs back. But he got in there somehow. I was betting that if we went up and over, we'd find a gentler path. So, I fashioned the rope I brought to hang myself into a simple lead and led us out of the woods. Took most of the day, but we found a trail. Followed it over the ridge, back down into the forest, and to a fork in the road. I could see it easy. One path was the clear way down off the mountain. I should have taken it. Abigail grew quiet then. She turned her drink in her hands and set it down on the bar. Instead, I took the other trail, the one that led to a ranch. I saw it through the trees, and I knew that's where I'd find the bastard that left Andre to die. I was right. I imagined it. Abigail's righteous anger, the confrontation, a man's body on the forest floor. You killed him, I said. Her eyes were far away. She nodded slowly. Found him straight away, standing out front like he was expecting us. He laughed, fucking laughed right in my face. Told me Andre was a fine horse, but went lame. Said there ain't no use for a lame horse. Fuck him. Can't work and let him starve. I don't honestly recall what I said. I know I was shouting, screaming out every horrible thing I could think to say. I'd never been so angry. I wanted to call down the wrath of God on that man, and he was just laughing and laughing, and he pulled out a gun. Said he might as well finish what he started. Abby closed her eyes as if bracing for what came next. One tear fell into her lap, then another. She let out a shaky breath and went on. I fought for it. Nearly got it, but it was too late. Pulled the trigger 3 times and threw me to the ground. Didn't kill Andre outright, but it didn't matter. God, there was blood everywhere. The bastard stood over me, pointed that gun at my head, and the next thing I knew, he was beside me in the dirt. Andre kicked that man's head in. Gunshots should have spooked him. Should have knocked him down. They didn't. He saved my life. Abigail went quiet. She let out a ragged breath. Her hands shook as she brought the glass to her lips and finished her drink. The silence hung heavy in the room. What happened to Andre? He's still up there. I buried him. Abigail collected the glasses and set them aside. She leaned across the bar and took my hand. Gus, take the path down off the mountain. She sent me home then. I walked back out into the rain. It was light and gentle. The worst of the storm was moving on. I heard the distant thunder rolling off the mountains, and for a moment, it sounded just like the galloping of horses.